here, I'm Sugi Kusuma.
I'm Jenny Aturahmi.
Today we are going to be diving into a crucial topic in instructional design, where to. Especially, we will be focusing on the W aspect, which stands for where and why. So please stick around because this is going to be an insightful discussion for educators, trainers, and also anyone who is passionate about learning design.
Well, let's begin with the basics. In the instructional design, where to is a framework that helps educators and designers create clear, purposeful, and effective learning experiences. The W plays a pivotal role here as it focuses on where and why. Where refers to the destinations of the learning journey, the goals we want students to achieve. It answers the questions, where are we taking the learners in the process? And the why emphasizes the rationale behind the learning. It tackles questions like, why is the topic important? And why should learners care or invest their time in this process? These two elements are interconnected, ensuring that the learning experience is both meaningful and goal-oriented.
Okay, and today we're focusing on answering some of the most fundamental questions and instructional design based on the result of interview with Guru Pamo, Mr. Taufik in SMA 2 Negeri Bogor. Our discussions will revolve around 5 questions. First, what are your learning goals? 2, where do your learners currently stand in relation to those goals? 3, why have you set those particular goals? 4th, what performance tasks will demonstrate learning? And the last is, what criteria will you use to assess understanding? Okay, these are key questions every educators and instructional designers must address to create effective and meaningful learning experiences. Let's dive in. For the first question is, what are your learning goals? Learning goals define the destination of your instructional design journey. They provide clarity on what learners are expected to achieve by the end of the lesson or program. To set effective goals, ensure they are: the first, specific is clearly state what learners will accomplish, and measurable is define outcomes that can be observed and assessed. Achievable is make sure the goals are realistic given the learner's context. Relevant is aligned with learners' needs and the larger objectives of the course. And the last is time bound. It set a clear timeline for achieving goals. For example, instead of saying learners will understand fractions, you could say, by the end of the lessons, learners will be able to solve and simplify fractions with problems with 90% accuracy. The specificity helps both us and your learners stay focused.
Okay.
The goals in the learning process is very important, right?
Very important.
Interesting. Okay, now we're moving on to our second question here about where do your learners currently stand in relation to the learning goals. But before that, to answer these questions, we actually need to assess our learners' current skills, knowledge, and also their attitudes. This process, often referred to the diagnostic assessment, will help us to first identify learners' strengths and weaknesses, and then the second one to understand their prior knowledge, and then the third one to tailor our instructional strategies accordingly. For instance, as we know together, if our learning goal is to teach such as essay writing, but the learners are struggling with the basic grammar, we might need to adjust our plan to include their grammar exercises first. Okay, and then we can also use tools such as pre-assessment, surveys, or even informal discussions so that it can provide valuable insights for the learner's starting points.
because they are based on the curriculum needs and the real life relevance in the future challenges students will face. They form the foundations for effective educational process. Here's why this matters. The first one, provide focus and directions. Learning objectives clearly define what needs to be achieved, and without them, learning can feel disorganized, and students may be unsure about what to focus on. And the second one, guide planning. Clear objective helps students and a teacher to plan lessons, choose method, and design assignments that align with the goals. This ensures all parts of the learning process work together effectively. And the last is enable evaluations. Objectives allow teachers to measure student success based on the clear standard. Without them, evaluation can be unclear or subjective. And then this is a crucial question, I think, because the why determines the relevance and the purpose of the learning experience. And then we know that the goals should have some aspects. Like the first one, goals should address learner needs. Like why do learners need this knowledge or skill? And the second one, the goal should connect the real life applications. Like how will these skills help learners in their personal, academic or professional lives? And last, the goal should support long-term growth. Like how do these goals build a foundation for the future and the learning process? For example, if your goal is to teach the problem-solving skill, you might explain the skill is essential for navigation challenges in the workplace and everyday life. When learners understand the purposes of their learning, they are more likely to engage and stay motivated. Okay, in short, learning's objective is structure and the purpose to the learning process itself. So this is very important.
Interesting.
Okay, move on to the fourth questions. The question is, what performance tasks will demonstrate learning? Performance tasks are opportunities for learners to apply their knowledge and skills in meaningful ways. These tasks should align with one or more of the 6 key of performance types. The first is explanation. Explanation is learners explain their concepts in their own words. And the second one, interpretations. Learners interpret data or text to uncover meaning. Okay. And the third, applications. Learners apply knowledge to solve real-world problems. And the fourth, perspective. Learners analyze a situation from multiple viewpoints. And the fifth is empathy. Learners show understanding of the others' experiences. And the last is self-knowledge. Learners reflect on their own learning processes. And for example, if you are teaching descriptive text, a performance task could be ask the students to create mini vlog about school environment based on their words. Like in the SMA Negeri Bogor. Okay? And this task not only test knowledge but also demonstrates practical applications and decision-making skills.
Okay, I see. And now we are moving on to our fifth questions. Let's address to the question, what criteria will you use to assess understanding? So, friends here, clear assessment criteria ensure that learners know what is expected of them and allow us to evaluate their progress effectively. So the criteria should be content with the aligning with the learning goals, also specific and transparent, and the criteria itself should include multiple dimensions of understanding such as accuracy, creativity, or maybe critical thinking also. And for example, here, if the task is to write an essay, our criteria might include some content, such as the first one, content accuracy. It is like, is the essay factually correct? And then the second one is organization. Is the essay well structured with a clear introduction, body, and conclusion? And then the third one is language use. So, is the grammar and vocabulary is appropriate enough? And then the last one about critical thinking. Does the essay demonstrate original thought or analysis? By providing rubrics or checklists, we can help the students to clarify this criteria for the student itself.
And then let's wrap up today's discussions on where to in instructional designs that focus on where and why. And you have to remember, as educator, our role goes beyond delivering content and need to guide learners by showing them where they are headed and why the journey matters. So there you have it, a step-by-step approach to answering the essential questions in instruction design, like what are your learning goals, and the second one, where do your learners' current stand, why have you set these goals, and the next, what performance tasks will demonstrate learning, and the last, what criteria will you use to assess understanding. And by addressing these questions thoughtfully, you can create learning experiences that are purposeful, engaging, and effective.
Okay, is that all?
Okay.
Is that all, I think?
I think thank you for tuning in our today's episode. If you guys found this helpful, please do subscribe our channel to the Edu-Talk podcast, and please share it to your fellow educators and instructional designer. Please see you next time and keep building impactful learning journeys. I'm Fatima Zahra.
I'm Arif Sugi Wiro,
And I'm Jati Adorani.
We are signing off from Edu-Talk.